Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to do a book review of some of the books that we have been reading and just to let you guys see how they are and see if you want to check them out. Okay, so our first book, I'm a little late on doing this. Monday was Martin Luther King's birthday, and I am a big component on teaching my kids about Black History Month, Martin Luther King. So we did our own little study, but this is one of the books that I checked out from the library. Can you see that? Martin Luther King Jr. It's a photographic story of life, and it's a thin book, but I like how they set this book up. Let me see. It's a thin book, and it gives you, let me see how many chapters. There's 12 chapters. There's one on being black in Dixie, finding faith, mobilizing Montgomery, following in Gotti's footsteps, fighting back, battling in Birmingham, daring to dream, marching in Salem. It gives you count by count, step by step of the things he did, the important events that he did. And it even gives you the backstory of him growing up. It gives you pictures of him as a child. But it's just thin, perfect to read out loud to your kids. I really enjoy reading out loud to my kids. I think my kids enjoy being read out loud too. And as I read out loud, sometimes they'll take notes. But it's good for the beginning readers. See if you can see that. It's not too thick. Perfect. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to show you another line of books that I am really into. These books are called the I Survived series. Just if I can. Do y'all see that? All right. So it's I Survived the Bombing of Pearl Harbor. I Survived the San Francisco Earthquake. I Survived the Attacks of September 11th. And I Survived the Shark Attacks of 1916. So these are, once again, they're very thin. This gives an account of a survivor that survived these different type of events that happened in history. It's not factual. These aren't real factual people in these stories, but it gives you an account of what someone would have felt if they had gone through these, which is really awesome. Like, okay, I Survived the Earthquake in 1906. This was one of the new books. And in my other review, I tell you how much I enjoy new books from the library. So this one is about a young boy who he sells papers, but he's also an orphan of the state. So he lives in a group home. And then it goes through the account of him telling you what happened when he survived the earthquake. He got caught in a devastating situation with some bullies, but then it goes in to tell you the facts of what happened during the earthquakes in 1906. So it gives you some fiction of a backstory of a young boy, but then it tells you the facts of how this earthquake devastated people, how many people died during it, and what happened. So these books are really awesome. I mean, once again, they're called I Survived series. I mean, just really good account if you want your kids to read what it would be like for them if they survived a tragedy. These are some great books to check out. So another book, I reviewed the other book to this in another one of my book reviews, and I was telling you how awesome it was, and I couldn't think of the title of this book. This is the second book in his three book. It's not a series, so I don't want to say it's a series because it's not. Each one of these books are one in their own, but they're all done in the same way. Look at that. It's just awesome. So this book is part book, part pictures, if you remember my other review. So as you're reading one event of someone going through a situation, then there's an entirely different story going on in pictures throughout the whole book. So it is a thick book. However, it's not all words. It's like entire chapters, like look at this. Entire chapters of pictures. No words. So your child is getting the story, but in pictures. And then there's words. So in between, word, picture, really good book. My 10-year-old is reading it. and he enjoy. Well, my 9-year-old is going to be 10 soon. He's reading it. He enjoys it. So yeah, you should think about checking these out. It's by Hugo Cabet. No, the title of this book is The Invention of Hugo Cabet, and it's by Brian Schulnix. I'll put all the description in the box down below. But this is also a National Book Award. Oh, I love those type of books. I mean, if you're good enough to have gotten an award, it's really good. So, all right, so this is the best book pick that I have read out of the books that I have, and I still have a stack of books that I'm reading. Okay, so this book is by Haddix. Let me see his first name. I hate how they cover people's names. It's called The Missing. This is book 1. Book 1, Found. And it's by, I want to get to choose his whole name, Margeret Peterson Haddix. I'm sorry, it's not a he, it's female. Margeret Peterson Haddix. First book, The Missing, Found. Oh my goodness. This book had me captured from the moment I started reading it. Like I was sitting there, I just opened it up, and I was reading it on my bed, and I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Like I just was turning page by page by page, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you I had dinner cooking, so I was like, okay, I gotta get back out there. Almost. Oh my goodness. So my daughter actually, my 12-year-old, actually got me onto this book. She was like, Mom, you really need to read this book. It's really good. And I was like, all right, put it in my pile. So I read it, and it kept me up a couple of nights trying to get to the end. She's also the best-selling author of Among the Hidden. If you know that, then once again, her name is Margeret Peterson Haddix. So let me just read you the back. 13-year-old Jonah has always known that he was adopted. He's never thought it was any big deal. Then he and a new friend, Chip, who's also adopted, began receiving mysterious letters. The first one says, "You are one of the missing." The second one says, "Beware, they're coming back to get you." Okay. Jonah, Chip, and Jonah's sister Catherine are plunging into a mystery that involves the FBI, a vast smuggling operation, an airplane that appeared out of nowhere, and people who seem to appear and disappear at will. The kids discover they're caught in a battle between two opposing forces that want very different things for Jonah and Chip's lives. Do Jonah and Chip have any choice in the matter? And what should they choose when both alternatives are horrifying? This book does not deal with, because I've told you before, I love those end-of-the-world books and you're struggling to survive. This is not that type of book. This is like, if you love sci-fi, Doctor Who, time travel, this book is the book for you. This book involves time travel, and it's taking you from the past to the future, and it's explaining to you how these kids are involved. I mean, a plane load of infants shows up in an airport with no pilot. I was caught from chapter 1. So check this out. Margeret Peterson Haddix, The Missing, book 1, Found. I haven't read book 2 yet. I will be reading it soon. Awesome, awesome book. Your kids will love it if you love sci-fi. There's nothing in here that is inappropriate. Nothing of that nature. So it's an awesome book for your kids to read from, I would probably say, 12 and on. They'll get the concept of it, 12 and on. So this is my older book. All right, so back to my history books, because I love history. I'm a history buff. Love it. Love, love, love history books. This is some of the other books that we are getting into reading. Book just fell. As Black History Month is coming up, I don't just wait till February to learn about Black History Month. I actually do a list of probably 10 to 12 important people through history, black and white, that fought for equal rights. Blue Jenkins is one of them. And what's the amazing thing about Blue Jenkins is he was right here in Wisconsin. He was one of the first black men to stand up against the oppression when it came to working in the coal mines and the blacks weren't allowed in the unions. So he was one of the first ones that made a move toward that. So awesome book, Blue Jenkins. Check it out. See what he's all about. Tell it to your kids. Here's a little snippet. As an African American growing up in Racine, Wisconsin in the 1930s, William Blue Jenkins knew where blacks could shop, eat, and get a job, and where they couldn't. His early experiences of equality would drive his desire to make positive changes to his community and workplace as an adult. He worked for the workers. Gabby, take the dog out. He's sniffing around. Sorry, our dog is in the basement right now. So he worked to give rights to blacks who didn't have rights when it came to the union and working in the coal mines. So check it out. It's an awesome read. Another good book that I'm reading right now to my kids is Fighting for Equal Rights, a story by Susan B. Anthony. And she fought for not only women's rights and equality, but also she fought against slavery, and she stood up for it in a time where that was not okay, not only as a woman, but as a white woman. So it's awesome how you can teach your kids. Black History Month isn't just about blacks and what we went through and important blacks in history. It is, and that's awesome, but there are also very, very, very important stories of white Americans who stood up for our rights and said enough's enough. Born a Quaker in 1820, Susan B. Anthony grew up being taught that women were equal to men. In a time when women were not even given an equal education, Susan's father made sure she had every opportunity to learn. So it goes on to tell you how she fought for her rights not only as a woman, as a white woman, but also fighting for the rights of black Americans. Awesome book, very thin, easy for your kids to read, easy for you to read to them. This is one of my best historical books about presidents. I love our president, Abraham Lincoln. I named my son Lincoln. This book, The Lincolns, y'all see that? It's a scrapbook look at Abraham and Mary, and the pictures and the stories are just awesome. I mean, you can just, you can sit and read this, your kids can sit and read it, they can look at the pictures, they can see what Abraham was all about, they can see, there's snippets in here of newspaper articles, all through his journey. So just a wonderful, awesome book. I mean, pretty big book. You know, if you want to have some of your older kids read it and do a report on Lincoln and go ahead and get some other books on Lincoln, this is a great book to start at because of the pictures and the history. I mean, it's all jam-packed in here. Okay, so I think that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I have for today. So I'll get back at you with another book review, hopefully by the end of this week, beginning of next week. And get out there and read, guys. Read to your kids. Read. You know, reading is way better than TV because you can be anything, go anywhere, see anybody, learn anything. So yeah, you guys have a great night. Talk to you later. Peace.